Black Mirror has become the shorthand for dystopian sci-fi, or sci-fact depending on when you're watching this, but it's not the only player in the game. Here are my favourite shows that are like Black Mirror that are definitely worth your time. Show 1. Red Rose. Set in Bolton, which is horrific enough, a group of teenagers want one more carefree summer before they go off to college. But instead of enjoying each other's company, they download Red Rose. And the app keeps making increasingly sinister demands that have real-world deadly consequences if they don't do it. It clearly takes a lot of inspiration from the haunting Black Mirror episode Shut Up and Dance, as well as the slightly more American-style film Nerve. This series does a really good job of making you care about the characters and pulling you into their world, which is increasingly becoming more and more about the app and less about reality. I'd give it 4 broken phone screens out of 5. Show 2. The Capture. Series 1 follows a British Army Lance Corporal who, after being acquitted of a war crime, is accused of kidnapping and murdering his barrister due to quite damning CCTV evidence. We quickly find out that this evidence is a deepfake, and he has to spend the rest of the series solving why he's being set up. As someone who is increasingly worried about deepfakes and the fact that we can't really trust anything we see these days, I really loved how this was put together. It reminded me of the Black Mirror episode Man Against Fire, due to the army links and the goggles that warp your worldview. Definitely worth a watch, but do not binge it. I'd give this 4.5 broken phone screens out of 5. Show 3. Hunted. This is a long-running TV show where members of the public decide to give up their comfortable lives and go on the run. If they last 30 days, they win a pile of money, which seems to get smaller every series. If you ever wanted to know what powers the UK state has to track you, this is a light-hearted way of unlocking that nightmare fuel. As each series develops, they bring out more and more invasive powers to track these people down, which is fun for them. You really side with the people on the run, and completely forget that most of the people they'd be chasing in reality would be criminals. As a result, it's quite nice background viewing if you need something to play while you're finishing off your Lego model. Hypothetically. I'd give it 4 out of 5. Show 4. Upload. The year is 2033. Humans can now upload themselves to a virtual afterlife of their choosing. And by choosing, I mean based on the budget their living relatives can afford. Halfway through the series, no spoilers, but halfway through the series you discover there's a budget afterlife called the 2 Gigs, which really adds this classy touch of comedy to quite an interesting dark take on digital capitalism. There's also an amazing B plot which becomes the A plot, as we discover the main character was killed because he and his friend were trying to develop a freeware virtual afterlife that anyone could use to get a dignified afterlife. It brings up all sorts of interesting moral questions about life, death and capitalism. Think of the show as somewhere between The Good Place and San Junipero, an engaging love story with a whodunit thrown in just for good measure. I binged this on a flight to America and loved it. I cannot wait to watch the second series. I'd give it 4.5 broken phone screens out of 5. And finally, show 5, The Lazarus Project. You wake up to discover that your calendar has been rewound 6 months, but nobody else has any recollection of that time. You, my friend, have stumbled into the Lazarus Project, a secret task force whose job it is to save the world from apocalyptic threats, which apparently happen almost every episode. As soon as an event comes along, they reset everyone to the last save point, and for the greater good, they always do this without checking if anyone will be negatively impacted. All that matters to them is the apocalyptic event doesn't happen. Imagine if you met the love of your life and boom, reset, they're gone. You finally get your partner pregnant. Boom, reset, they're gone. You finally find the remote that you've been looking for months and boom, reset, it's gone again. Each time you reset, it adds more and more problems to the lives of the people who do and don't remember the time they've just lost. It's a super interesting take on the time travel genre, and although it gets deeper than that, I really don't want to add any spoilers. I'd give it 4 out of 5. Based on this, have you got any show suggestions that I might like? If you have, fire them in the comments below, and if I do watch them, I'll let you know what I think. I'd love to know your thoughts on any of these suggestions, so don't forget to fire them below. Godspeed.